Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear mommy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mom. I'm going to take you on a trip down memory lane by reading you a letter that you wrote yourself back when you were 21 years old during World War II. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. October 21, 1943. Carbon to Pop at Stadler because I don't know where the Edgewater Beach Hotel is. Cherie, family. Ground school is off for tonight, and so I'll have time to write and catch up with some of the news. I got a very amusing letter from KN today, scrawling with small Chinese grammatical and spelling errors that one has to read over to appreciate. When I heard he had talked to you, Ma, on the phone, I was even more amused because I know darn well you didn't understand a word he said, as it took me until late into the summer to master the art myself. He said, "I was going to surprise you by calling on the phone, but my $2 a day allowance does not permit me to." I fear it would have been an ill-spent $2, as my ear is a little out of practice. Before I get any further, I want to thank you for the $10 you sent, Ma. It really came in the very nick of time. I had $2.22 after gorging myself with a 15-cent lunch, supplemented by purchases of fruit, which made me feel very rich, probably because I had not stopped to analyze how far it would go. Anyway, I proceeded to the airport per usual after work to see if I could go up, and not per usual, I actually got to go up, which meant 56 cents for a plane and $1.50 for the instructor. A lightning calculation will leave you a picture of me puffing home with the grand sum of 15 cents jingling in my pocket. I thought I might eat the fruit still left in my room for tomorrow's lunch and invest in a bowl of soup and 5-cent nabs. Of course I could borrow 50 cents from someone, but the first idea appealed more to my poetic fancy. Anyway, with my little visions were shattered when I opened Ma's letter and out popped the check. The little adventure was not over yet, however. Banks around here close at 2 p.m., and it was now 6:45. And my spare time never collided with bank hours anyway. The desk here was closed, but my mail also contained the letter from the government printing office with 45 cents worth of stamps in place of my CAA book, which I had ordered, so I sent out bravely in quest of food with 15 cents, 15 3-cent stamps, and a strange, at least to the guys around here anyway, check. I thought I would try to get results from each in reverse order. I went to Davis's, my breakfast hangout, which I must describe in detail sometime, as they know me better there than anywhere. "Can you cash a check for me?" I asked in what must have been a terribly pathetic voice. I even felt a little pathetic. Or maybe I was just anxious. For the babe behind the counter, after cautiously inquiring the amount, thought she might. Although we don't usually accept personal checks. So I just slid gratefully into the nearest seat and said, "May I have a menu, please?" Thus, temporarily, brings to a close my small adventure with high finance. If my luck holds out with flying time, my finances won't. You don't really feel like eating when you fly anyway, though. Nothing like a nice 70-degree bank turn for dinner. I flew yesterday, today, and hopefully tomorrow. Yesterday the weather was a little rough, which pleased Dave, my instructor, as he thought I ought to know what the controls are really for. It was only my second time up due to the bad weather we've had. However, I was at the controls most of the time, and it required rather constant attention to the controls. The Cub is a very light plane and quite susceptible to any small gusts. I have the unfortunate habit of constantly comparing flying to sailing, as it comes closer to that than anything else I've done. However, when I get banking, when I mean to be straight and level and smash the rudder stick in the opposite direction from the one which I wanted to go, and it is the case for a rudder, that is where my comparison of the two sports comes to an abrupt and uncomfortable halt. I also let a little air pocket get away with me. In fact, I just let go of the controls and shouted, "You take over!" And as the engine roared and Dave shouted, "What?" While in the meantime, the air pocket was still having its own way. Finally, some sixth sense told Dave maybe he had better have a hand at the controls. So all was well. Don't let any of this chit-chat worry you, Ma, as all this happens at 2,000 to 3,000 feet up, with plenty of time to pull out of 2 or 3 spins if necessary. In fact, a ship will pull itself out of a spin if left to its own devices, and if there is about 1,000 feet to do it in. In fact, Cubs are practically foolproof. I'm going to buy one with my war bonds after the war. I know the whole family will love it. Today was nice and smooth, especially higher up. We tried steep turns, which are really something. You look out the side window and there is the ground. You're flying on your ear, in other words. I was rather timid at first, made very moderate banks, but when I discovered I could recover just by pulling the stick back, I got a little braver and really made some real steep ones. Dave said I was doing very well, which is the first encouraging thing he's said yet. I'm getting to trust the controls now and have more confidence in maneuvering the ship itself. I also glided in for the landing, although he took over for the actual stall. I really think I'll like flying. The more I think of the way I have to hang around the airport for a measly half hour every once in a while for lessons, the more I think the Wasps would be pure, unadulterated heaven, flying all day and getting paid on it to do the same. Right now, we have a whole mess of little grasshopper cubs, J4s, waiting for delivery to the Army. I envy the Wasps that get to deliver them. Imagine landing on a big Army field in a little cub. I had dinner with my instructor Dave and his roommate tonight. His roommate is cute, even if he is from Carolina. I pay for my dinner because we're all working kids, and I eat with them quite often, and it would get so we'd be avoiding each other at mealtime after a while if I didn't. Their overture at check grabbing grows fainter by the day, and I soon think that they will be completely housebroken. They wanted me to go to the movies tonight, but as I was already decided to write letters and retire early, I declined. It's nice being on in-time terms with one's instructor, as we talk all the time about flying, and I learn a lot from him just while we're sitting on the ground. The flying career creeps in its petty pace, as I have to get in my time after work and when the weather permits, which it hasn't of late. I have 6.5 hours so far, so now I'm working on takeoffs and landings and spins. I'll need 35 hours before I can even apply for the Wasps, so it looks like a long pull ahead. That 6 months training you get when you join the Wasps is damned wonderful. You learn to fly really fast fighter planes and bombers too. The Wasps come in here in droves and fly out our cubs. They all look like a swell bunch of babes slapping about in their army khakis with great wings weighing them down. I live in a brand new and beautiful government dorm, a little baby of the FHA. I have pastel walls, blue-green, and blonde furniture. From 7 a.m. to 4:12 p.m., I work in the factory, slap radar antennas together, soldering, drilling, pinning, burning myself constantly. There's another babe here from New Jersey who's headed in the same direction, learning to fly and wants to join the Wasps, who is a solace as the winter weather closes in, and with no flying, it's hard to remember why you're here. Periodically, Joan and I think we'll borrow the money and pay the $10 an hour required at some private airport where we could pile up the time in a hurry. But $350 is $350. My pay comes to about $20 a week with the deductions, and although Pop politely deposits my allowance in my account every month, I haven't written a check since I've been here. It isn't hard because this place seems to be an island in the storm of inflation. probably due to the cheap Chinese wages all the factories shell out to us around here. Well, chum, your yearly report is about due. How about it for a letter? Give Lig and Julie my love. Love, Jean.